your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Just real quick on the K-State game against BYU in Provo. So they're up 6-3 late in the second quarter, and then DJ Gibbons lost a fumble. Their safety, Tommy Prasis, returns the loose ball for a touchdown, so scoop and score. Avery Johnson then throws an interception. BYU immediately scores on offense. Then he throws another one, and they score again. And then BYU sophomore Parker Kingston, this was an unbelievable punt return of 90 yards for a touchdown. So it went from 6-3 to 31-6 in 6 minutes and 25 seconds of game action. So it was pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Hard to come back from that. We had a text here early on that I wanted to get to that was a question to me with regard to fans in the stands. And this person says this: I posted this on Saturday, but I'm interested in Chuck's take. I was super disappointed in the townies this weekend. The east side of the stadium looked really empty. The west side was packed. I feel like this is people with seats just not showing up. Sad. Okay, my first question is, were you there? Did you use your seats? I don't know. It's hard for me to tell on the east side because, I'm sitting there. So it's hard. I don't know how full it looked or was looked. And I mean, there were portions of the stadium on the north end, particularly in the two, saddleback kind of areas that looked a little scarce. I'm sure parts of the west side had some emptiness to them, and I'm sure parts of our side did as well. I noticed in south end zone there were probably some empty seats in the loge area. Look, I wrote this down this weekend, and I think there's some fatigue that goes on when you have so many home games in a row. I realize it's great for the team, but I don't know if it's great for the team early on. But I think there should be a Big 12 rule or a rule that says you can't do 4 home games in 5 weeks. You can't do 3 in a row, because I think for fans that are coming in from out of town, I think for fans that live in town, I think it's hard to give up 3 Saturdays in a row, especially middle of the day, like what you had with the game this past weekend and the weekend before with the 11 a.m. kick, and even with the kick against ACU. And what's coming up this weekend is at least a 7 o'clock kick. I mean, people are busy, they got activities, but I think if we're going to have 7 home games, which I love, I would like to see them spread out a little bit more. And I think that the athletic department and the football program should take a look at that and go, we're not going to put ourselves in a position where we're going to have 4 games in 5, 4 and 5 at home.
Well, this was only the second of back-to-back. I feel like you'd have more of an argument with that if it was this Saturday.
Maybe so. I just think the 11 and the 2:30 were hard. I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't think it was maybe it was the quality of the opponent, but if you would have said that, the quality of the opponent with Saturday was better than the week before against North Texas. Mm-hmm. I don't think the rain or threat of rain or it wasn't like it was beastly hot like it was against ACU or against North Texas. I mean, it was warm, but it was comfortable because there was a breeze coming through, and the clouds were, every time you kind of felt like you were getting hot, the clouds came overhead. But I just think it's really hard, especially for the people that are coming in from out of town. And there's a lot of people that are coming in from out of town as well that just it gets hard. It gets hard to dedicate a full Saturday to the games, especially for as long as they are. So he says he was there, drove 5.5 hours. Okay.
What do you mean, especially for as long as they are? I mean, the football games haven't gotten longer, have they?
No. Saturday's game kicked at 2:30.
This goes back to my obsession with shortening sporting events where, we all sit around all week excited for the game, and then we want it to get over as fast as possible.
No, I just think that
I wish we could get back to our phones.
I wish it's not that. I wish the college game was on the NFL clock, the whole thing.
I don't disagree with you, but I mean, is that really? Are people like, I'd like to go to the game, but I only want it to be 3 hours and 15 minutes. These things run 3:35, 3:40. That extra 25 minutes, it's going to keep me at the house.
I think it's better than it was. I think it's better than it was. Somebody says exactly correct, Chuck. We travel 4 hours hard for 3 weeks.
So I wonder if what fans did, going back to my point about it being the second of 2 weeks in a row. I wonder if fans said we'll do the first and third of the 3 in a row and miss out, because Cincinnati's already a sellout, right?
Yeah, it is.
We know Colorado's already a sellout. That's partly about the opponent. Okay. Baylor is not a sellout at this point, correct?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think Baylor is. Which other home game am I missing besides West Virginia? And I'm definitely worried about the attendance there, depending on what you have to play for and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely worried about that one.
You're forgetting. No, you got them.
I think that's all of them.
Baylor, Colorado, and West Virginia after this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just attendance has been good so far. Before this week's game, it wasn't phenomenal, and that I would say that for all areas of the stadium, from sitting up in the press box and looking down. There looked like there were empty patches on the east side, west side, north side, south side, whatever. Okay, all over. So I'm not gonna cape up for the West Siders or the East Siders or anything like that.
I do think the students have been better about the last couple of years of staying to almost the very end. I mean, I know that there were some that left at halftime on Saturday, but I think there have been times when I've seen like acres and acres of rows and so I think they've done a better job.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be really hard if you're going to have 7 home games to not have a stretch where you're going to have at least a couple in a row.
I think a couple in a row. I just think it's something that they should look at.
Well, I don't know that they have a choice, though, right? It's the Big 12
right.
I mean, the Big 12
once
put the schedule.
Once you get into the Big 12 portion, I mean, you set the tone for your non-conference games,
right?
But it's that, and I think the other thing too that hurts to a degree is, we've only had really one night game, so we've had a couple of had the 11, had the 2:30, and we get a night game this week. I think people really enjoy the night games as well. It's just my take. Just asking them to take a look at that to see if that's a factor in this.
Is this true? This true that this texter says we start with 4 home games next year?
I didn't know that. If that's the case, I don't think that's the case, because we have a Big 12 schedule that hasn't come out yet.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
In sports history, today is the 23rd day of September. Here is Jeff McGuire.
How upset was Chuck that we weren't here on the 21st of September?
I know. I was really sad about that.
When did you realize that we weren't here on the 21st?
Probably.
Was it when Jamie texted you during the game?
No.
I thought Jamie texted you during the game saying, "Do you remember?"
No.
I thought, I misinterpreted what he texted.
That he
That doesn't sound like something Jamie would do.
No, really. No, he didn't. Jamie and I had one exchange on Saturday, and that was not related to that. No, it was Saturday at the Double T 97.3 Coors Light postgame show at the Overton after the ball game.
When they used it for the close.
Well, no, it was right before. It was
the close.
I know that. It was before.
It was right before the close is when you realized it?
Well, it was brought up about then.
Okay.
But apparently they played it at the stadium as well.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Were you busy talking?
No, I wasn't busy talking.
1949 Major League
Baseball.
Baseball.
Argumentative today, aren't you?
1949 Major League Baseball Cleveland Indians owner Bill Veeck holds a funeral service to bury the 1948 pennant. I don't know why. Because, flags fly forever, but apparently we're going to bury this one. 1962, Los Angeles Dodgers shortstop Murray Wills breaks Ty Cobb's 1915 Major League Baseball steals record, recording number 97 on his way to 104. You know what they'd say about Murray Wills, right?
Maury. It's Maury.
You know what they'd say about him?
What?
Yeah, he's not Ricky Henderson. Even then, they knew that Ricky would be Ricky.
His son, Bump Wills.
1978, freshman Ron Reeves throws 2 touchdown passes and runs for 2 scores as the Texas Tech Red Raiders rallied to beat Arizona 41-26 in Lubbock.
How about that? The Monterey Plainsman there.
1984, San Francisco 49er quarterback Joe Montana misses his first start in 49 games. 1988, Jose Canseco is baseball's first to steal 40 bases and hit 40 home runs in the same season. 1997, Seattle Mariners break the record for most home runs hit in a year, 258. I think there are teams in baseball that have that at the All-Star break now. That's being sarcastic.
Yeah, but we're aware.
And in 2018, 39-year-old New Orleans Saint quarterback Drew Brees throws a 17-yard pass to Michael Thomas to become the NFL career passing leader, breaking Brett Favre's record of 6,300 completions. The Saints beat the Falcons 43-37. It is the Great American Pot Pie Day.
Pie Day?
Go have a pot pie. Chicken, beef, pork, doesn't matter. Have a pot pie.
I am a fan of the pot pie. Even the frozen food one is usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Their crust is awesome.
But it seems a little warm for pot pies.
Not for me. I'm in.
You're in?
I'm in.
I like my food generally hot, so yeah.
I think that's on the menu for the Lent House this week, as a matter of fact.
Pot pies?
Yeah. Like just one pot pie.
One pot pie?
Yeah,
Okay.
she makes it. Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
I'm a fan, too.
You said beef pot pie?
Yeah.
Never had a beef pot pie.
I haven't
It's
either,
always
but
chicken.
Oh, it's chicken.
I found several recipes for beef and pork, and like you can do any meat in it.
I'm sure you can.
But I've almost always
I just have
exclusively
never
had
ever
chicken.
heard of anybody using anything but chicken.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Like you don't say to me, you don't ever hear anybody say pot pie without chicken.
Yeah, chicken pot
It's
pie.
chicken pot pie.
Yeah.
Quite possibly the best changeup from a Texas Tech pitcher celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Stephen Gingrey, 27.
It was a good one.
Bruce Springsteen, the boss, is 75. Anthony Mackie, 46. Jason Alexander is 65. Jabba Chamberlain, 39. John Harbaugh, 62. And Marvin Lewis is 66.
They wouldn't have fired him on his birthday probably, but maybe on his birthday eve.
And nearly unemployed.
I think he would have been gone if they'd have lost that game.
And on this day, 1779, John Paul Jones, commanding the ship Bonaparte Richard, or Good Man Richard in French, is in honor of Poor Richard's Almanac writer Ben Franklin, who at the time was the ambassador to France, wins a decisive battle with the British ships Serapis and Countess of Scarborough off the eastern coast of England. At one point, the Bonaparte Richard sustained considerable damage, and Richard Pearson, the captain of the Serapis, asked Jones if he had struck the colors, the Navy signaling indicating surrender. From his disabled ship, Jones replied, "I have not yet begun to fight." And after 3 more hours of furious fighting, it was the Serapis and the Countess of Scarborough that surrendered. After the victory, the Americans transferred to the Serapis from the Bonaparte Richard, which sank the following day. Side note here about the father of the U.S. Navy. It took us a while to really honor him correctly. After the Revolutionary War, he served until 1787, ended up in France where he was buried in an unmarked grave during the French Revolution. He was rediscovered in 1905, and his body was escorted home.
Rediscovered?
Well, it was an unmarked grave, so we had to rediscover it. Brought back home, escorted by U.S. Navy warships. He is now enshrined in a crypt at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And that is this day in sports history.
Okay, that little signal right there means it's time for you to get your pen and paper out. Take some notes. Raymar Communications is a Lubbock-based media group that encourages our listeners to shop and listen locally. That's why Double T 97.3 has teamed up with the Home Zone, making your house a home, to give away a total of $10,000 to lucky local listeners. All you have to do is to get registered, go to Double T 97.3, and listen to us as well at 6:45, which is right now, 8:45, and 4:45 this afternoon for the local winning word. Then log on to doublet973.com. Enter it there for your chance to win weekly cash every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The more times you enter, the more chances you have to win. This is not a national contest. It's a local one, so the money will be given away to local listeners. Then we'll give away one final cash giveaway of $2,500 at 2 Docks on Thursday, December the 5th. It's a cash giveaway with 30 local winners from the home zone, making your house a home, and Double T 97.3, and your local lucky winning word to start off at 6:52 this morning is Seminoles. 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 So go to doublet973.com. Get entered to win, and you too could have some extra cash to spend on some tickets or something along those lines. There is a place in Chi-Town that makes pizza pot pies. That sounds great. That's from Robert. Okay.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Somebody says, with regard to Stephen Gingery, one of my favorite Texas Tech pitchers. Okay.
Hard not to like him for what he did here.
Dan in Dallas. I did not get to see him on Saturday. He didn't come by and say howdy or hi or shake my hand or anything along those lines. The west side was not packed either. I saw a lot of red seats open, but to those who didn't make the game, you missed a fun one. Yes, I would agree with that, Dan in Dallas. Old Boot Guy says, I never liked the 11 o'clock kick or the 2 o'clock kick. Then I got old, and now I don't like the night games. Okay. Somebody says this, boys, Lubbock, not that big of a town, right? We're aware. The Saturday, I was at the fair, and 2 o'clock, had a haircut, gave my stylist 4 tickets so her husband and kids could go to the game because I had a wedding to go to. There was a concert at night. My wife bought tickets. Busy weekend. It's a busy weekend. You're right. It's a busy weekend. All right, it's just before 7 this morning. More fun-filled activities to come here on the Morning Drive. Stay tuned on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Good morning.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. All right, a couple things here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We had a lot of penalties that bothered me. We need to clean that up. Yeah, it's the first half. Again, in the first quarter, you had penalized 6 times for 59 yards. Second quarter, 2 for 20. For the game, 9 for 94. But you were penalized 8 times for 79 yards in the first half.
Yeah, massive.
Massive.
Kept you from really stretching your legs and kind of getting out to a bigger lead there.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, a big reason why your offense did almost nothing in the second quarter until the final drive right before the half.
Yeah, in which you got, a field goal. Which I'll be honest with you, I was shocked. I was glad because I always do this. I mean, I know that people also do this where. Okay, you have a coaching decision, whether it's going for it on 4th down or, something along those lines, specifically kicking a field goal. I was like, I sure hope we kick a field goal here because I feel like that, 14-10, if you don't pick up the first down or you don't, score a touchdown there, then, they get the ball first and, they could take the lead.
Yeah, no, I thought I really thought you played pretty poorly on both sides of the ball in the second quarter. I mean, the defense couldn't stop with the pass interferences, and offense just couldn't stay on the field when they did get the ball. So it was pretty ugly second quarter. You were lucky to, I felt like, still have the lead at halftime.
Yeah. Texas Tech did not go for it at all on 4th down, and Coach McGuire made reference to that in the post-game press conference. He goes, didn't go for it in the fourth quarter. Are you all shocked? Yeah. Yes. I wanted to say yes.
Yeah, your defensive stand where they went for it in the red zone on 4th down and you got to stop, and then they were in the red zone again, late in the first quarter, early second quarter, and ended up just kicking a field goal. I feel like that basically could have been 14 points. That stretch ended up only being 3 points. And so even though your defense wasn't able to get off the field much in the end of the first, second quarter stretch there, at least you weren't giving up a bunch of points. And, I mean, you can see by the final score, the 11-point difference there that you could have had, they could have had from 14 only being 3, the difference in the ball game. And so, again, it was a bit of a bend but don't break defense at that point, but you didn't break, and that was huge.
Yeah, and I thought, and obviously the fourth down stops were huge. I mean, you got 3 of them in the ball game, and Coach McGuire talked about the fourth down stops after the game. The fourth down stops after the game.
Yeah, man, you're talking about guys triggering, having good eyes, and triggering, like making decisive plays, owning their leverage. Those were huge plays in the game because they won't go on the turnover board tomorrow, but they are turnovers. I mean, we're getting off the field and we're in good position. Usually if you can get those stops. I thought that the defense came up huge on fourth down, but the biggest thing, and when those things happen, I mean, like Mo triggered, and then Ben and Chappie, I mean, they triggered and they finished the tackle. And I think, that was one thing. We're getting better as a defense of tackling because we're owning our leverage. There was very few times today, besides that big run, and, that was more, miscommunication and not rolling down than it was, leverage. But I think we're becoming a better tackling team. But it's all about being decisive, making decisions, and go and see what you hit, and they did.
But you're talking about that second quarter. I mean, for both teams, after Arizona State gets a after they punt, and then I guess they get a field goal here. Anyway, the bottom line is there are 3 straight possessions of punt, and punt for them, and the two for Texas Tech. And the thing that kind of bothered me too in the third quarter was, I mean, you force them to punt, you get a touchdown, then you get them out on downs, and then you go. Yeah,
you don't turn that into points.
Nope, 3 and out. Yeah. And then, after
and you got the ball.
Yeah.
Was it near midfield-ish?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you couldn't turn that. I mean, you just
got it at the 48-yard line.
Yeah, you needed barely more than of 1 first down to get into field goal range, and you couldn't add to your lead there.
And then they come back, and then they get a touchdown out after that, and then you get a field goal, and then force a punt, and then you get a field goal, and then again you get them out on downs. This is in the fourth quarter, and you go basically 3 and out again, and they come back and score a touchdown to make it a little bit of a ball game, and then you at least run out the ball game.
It was definitely a ball game at that point, 30-22.
Yeah. I mean, because if you something squirrely happens,
yeah, they get the onside kick or whatever, and we're in fingernail chewing time.
Yeah, I was getting there. I mean, there were some people leaving. I'm like, hey, it was just kind of a ball game going on here.
It's interesting to hear Coach McGuire talk about the tackling thing, because I thought I thought I remember him saying that this week, that he had been really happy with the way that they had tackled or whatever.
After the game against North Texas.
And that they were going to have to do it well this week. Well, I thought I agreed with Coach McGuire there that they had been solid in that regard all season long. But I thought they were poor in that area this week. And I think Scadaboo's physicality had something to do with it. I don't know, but I thought this was their worst week of tackling yet.
How did you feel like the defense played overall, though?
I mean, you gave up 22 to a Big 12 team. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And again, they outgained you yardage wise. I mean, to me, a huge difference in that game is that late in the first quarter, early in the second quarter, where they had 2 drives. I don't remember exactly when they were, but they had 2 drives there, and one ended up that both of them ended up in the red zone. One ended up in a field goal, and one ended up a turnover on downs. And again, you're inside the 20. You're thinking, all right, we're gonna get 7 here, and 2 times, 14 points, and you end up with 3. That's massive.
Yeah.
So, I thought the defense won you the day. Mm-hmm. I was definitely, when you saw the replay of that long catch and run by Scadaboo down the right sideline, it looked like Macho Stevenson pulled up to me like he didn't want the contact. Okay, either that or it was a complete whiff. Okay, that allowed him to go an extra 30 or 40 yards on that play. So that was where the tackling was the most poor. But throughout the course of the game, and I want to give him credit because I think Scadaboo was a really physical, tough back, tough guy to bring down. So I don't want to say that I'm down on our tackling with this team. I still think we're a solid tackling team. I just think he was a really physical runner. And he made it difficult on you.
You could see that one time they took him out of the ball game. They're helping him out of the game, and I put my binoculars on him, and you could see the front of his jersey. He's just like a worn down back, and then 2 plays later he comes back in.
That was really odd to me too because it looked like he was woozy.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I was looking at his face,
and they were kind of working with the side of his neck. So I don't know, and then he was he just didn't look right, and so it was really surprising to me that they put him right back in the game.
I agree.
Yeah, but again, I'm not a medical person. I don't know what was going on over there. Maybe it was his shoulder that was bothering him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you because I was looking at his face and it was kind of expressionless. But they got people over there that
they do
know what they're doing. That's got DR in front of them, not talk show host TSH. Would you like that, like behind your Jamie Lent, TSH?
It's really not who I am. It's what I do. It's not who I am.
Love the win. Tired of stupid, useless penalties and the prevent defenses at the end of the games. Okay. Oh, goodness. Yeah, the penalties were the big problem in the first half. You can't afford to give teams just chunks of yardage like that.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen, this kind of goes along with what Chuck was just saying there about talking about Big 12 games. Felt like it was a really entertaining Big 12 weekend. So my question for you today is, after all that we've seen through this point of the season, I want you to tell me how many teams in the Big 12 you think legitimately have a chance to get to the Big 12 championship game, and go ahead and tell me who those teams are.
Okay. All right. Obviously, I guess that's nothing obvious right now, right?
Well, I think there's probably a couple, or at least one that's obvious.
I think Utah's obvious.
Okay, that one seems pretty obvious to me.
I do think I think you have to include UCF in the mix. They're undefeated. They're 3-0 and 1-0 in the conference. I think that you have to include, in my mind, Oklahoma State, even though they lost to Utah. So there's two.
That's three.
Oh, three. Okay. UCF. Okay. So Utah, UCF, Oklahoma State. I'm going to include K-State because, that was a terrible loss for them on Saturday, but it's recoverable, and I think they're a really good football team. So there's four. Mm-hmm. I think I want to include Colorado as 5, just because of how explosive they can be and how, from an offensive and defensive standpoint, if they can keep from shooting themselves in the foot, I think they can win a lot of football games. And this one coming in November is concerning to me. It's really hard for me to include Texas Tech based on what I've seen so far. I know you're 3-1. I know you're 1-0. I just can't honestly go and feel like you're going to win some games that you're not expected to win, like for specifically Arizona and Oklahoma State. And I'll include Arizona, so I'm going to say 6.
Okay. Jeff?
3. Utah, Oklahoma State, and I'm adding BYU this week for really handling what I think is a really good Kansas State team. I am not a believer in Iowa State. even though they are ranked higher than BYU at this point in the polls. I'm not buying it. The fool's gold that is Iowa State, I'm not buying it. I think they're a better team than they've been, but I don't think they're a Big 12 contender.
Okay. I'm at 5.
Okay.
Utah, UCF, Iowa State, I definitely feel like has a chance. I'm in disagreement with Jeff. Kansas State, Oklahoma State both lost this weekend, but I think they're still legitimate contenders. I am not with BYU. They've done nothing but be solid so far. That's a nice win on Saturday night, really nice win. It was a nice win winning on the road at SMU, who just put up 66
on TCU.
Mm-hmm. So BYU way better than I thought they were going to be, way better. But I do not see them as a Big 12 title contender. So those are my 5.
Okay. And how do you feel about Colorado? Is that just...
I think their defense is pretty poor.
Suspect, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't...
I mean, they might get exposed. I mean, the next 3 weeks are going to be very telling for them.
I mean, I don't think Baylor's any good, and they needed a Hail Mary to get to overtime at home against Baylor.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Baylor's offense has been pretty, I don't know, feels like it's pretty mediocre. Sawyer Robinson played well the other night.
He did play well. Yeah, I was excited for him.
And they put up 31 points. Should have put up more in overtime before the fumble, but gosh, that was disappointing. That was super fun game to watch.
It was a super fun game to watch. So for Colorado, their next 3 weeks face UCF on the road, Kansas State at home, and at Arizona.
They'd be lucky to get 1 win.
Yeah, and
I'll be surprised if they get 1.
But if they got 2, that'd be huge for them.
Be better than 1.
Sure, be better than 1. I know really nothing about UCF. I feel like that. You know, they've got Colorado this week, obviously at home. Then they go to Florida in a non-conference game. That might be the battle for Billy Napier's soul. They won.
So UCF, if they win, will get Billy Napier's soul?
Might. I mean, he's on very thin ice. Very thin ice.
I don't think the opponent gets their soul if you beat them, though.
Okay. Might. And then they play Cincinnati. And then they have a game at Iowa State on October the 19th. You're high on Iowa State and Jeff is not.
Yeah, it kills me because I'm not a fan, and I always feel like they're overhyped. So they'll lose one here that they shouldn't. Let's hope it's against the Red Raiders.
What about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I still think they're a really good football team. Boy, Alan Bowman is horrendous.
Yeah, he got benched
the other day.
In the game,
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Who was he? He was like 8 of 22 with a couple picks or something when he got benched for 87 yards or something. It was, somebody was telling me it was really bad, but
he might need to retire.
The sum up of how his play was not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was our texter last week that was telling us that they had spoken with him and they were fired up, ready to go? Alan may have been spending too much time on the phone with our texter.
Yeah.
Man, he was rough.
Can't listen to our people. We might shoot you in a bad spot here. Let's see, Alan Bowman, his numbers were this: 16 of 33, 206, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
No.
Garrett Rangel, who came in his relief, 3 of 11, 31 yards. Ollie Gordon only ran for 42 yards rushing.
Yeah. Wow.
On 11 carries.
Yeah. So those must have been first half numbers that I was told. Bowman.
For Bowman, yeah. Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Not good, Jamie. Not good at all.
And yet they still had a chance to win.
Yeah. Pepsi Man is in the armpit of America this morning. Colby, Kansas. Suns up, guns up. Get out of there fast, Pepsi Man.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, good morning. It's 8:02, hour 3 of 3 here on the Morning Drive this morning. Hour from now, it's the end of the bench on 100.7 The Score. Bottom line today at high noon on The Score, and then this afternoon you'll hear Tech Talk with Clint Scott and Dr. Mike Gustafson. Cowboy Hour tonight at 6, and then Monday Night Football. There's two of them tonight. We're going to take Cincinnati hosting the Washington Commanders. So
I figured we'd take the NFC East team.
Okay, sure.
Over two AFC teams.
Sure, I'm good with that. See if Coach Kingsbury can dial up some offense tonight. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, plus Coach Kingsbury's involved.
That's what I'm saying. To see if Coach Kingsbury can dial up some offense tonight.
Hopefully a lot of it.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Hopefully they can do more than just kick field goals.
Freaking field goal, right? Yeah, absolutely. God.
Somebody needs to ask him if there's a strategy to all those field goals.
I'll be glad to go up there for it. Your 2-0 Bills play host to the Jacksonville Jaguars tonight. That's a 6:30 kick. And then the Bengals, who are 0-2. Starting 0-3 for them would be not good. But I'm hoping they do. Washington Commanders are 1 up and 1 down on the season. All right, let's get to the Big 12 because there was other stuff to talk about besides what Texas Tech did, and of course we've been talking about that for the last couple of hours. But you can still weigh in on what you think. So I got home in time to flip on the Colorado game with Baylor. And man, I was rewarded as was anybody who watched that football game with kind of how it went and what happened at the very end. Because, gosh Almighty, I think that's as exciting as an end to a football game from a Hail Mary, kind of where they were, 43-yard pass, 2 seconds left in the game. Down by 7. It's raining. I mean, that's to me right up there with Doug Flutie and Gerald Phelan, Boston College, Notre Dame. I mean, that atmosphere, everything. I really felt for Baylor. I mean, it's like I felt because I was rooting for them. I mean, I was rooting for Sawyer Robertson to have a win there. The Coronado kid by way of Mississippi State, but. Man, it was some kind of terrific ending, and then kicking the extra point had a kind of a rookie guy doing that for Colorado. It's raining, ball could slip through hands, or you could slip on the grass because that's what it looked like to me. It looked like the Baylor defender kind of got twisted around a little bit and slipped and fell, and the pass from Shadur Sanders goes in there, and
there's just a lot of luck involved in completing one of those things.
Absolutely.
And also skill involved in being able to get the ball there. And the way they set things up with Travis Hunter on one side of the field to draw all the coverage there, and they felt like they would get more individual coverage on the other side of the field, which worked out perfectly. So credit the offensive staff there at Colorado for coming up with a good plan there, and it actually worked.
Well, Jonte Wester made a great catch too. Was there any thought at all as you were watching that it was that the ball hit the ground at all?
I thought he had it.
Yeah, I did too. I did. I mean, they reviewed it because it's it's a scoring play. It just took a quick look, but I mean, and of course you saw lots of different angles on it. But what do you think? Is that as exciting an ending as you've seen in quite some time? Like just personally watched in some time?
I mean, it was just, you added it all together. I don't know that just individually play for play that beats, the Hail Mary that you're talking about with Doug Flutie. But I think you go into the overtime now and you get a touchdown for Colorado, and then you got Baylor just about to go in and they have the ball popped out, and so that all together made it really fun and a great finish.
Somebody points out, the play before the Hail Mary, the guy dropped a touchdown that hit him in the chest. Yeah, I mean he was kind of at an awkward position too. Somebody else says the defender played the receiver instead of the ball. Okay. I remember the Cordell Stewart Hail Mary for Colorado. I didn't realize it was almost 30 years to the day. But man, There was a part of me too, Jamie, that was, and maybe it was just because of everything that was transpiring, a good football game that was going back and forth, but I was envious too of just the whole atmosphere there at Colorado and how just excited everybody was. Just the passion in the stands and things like that. I was like, man, that was a college football game right there.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And what
I just continue to watch. I mean, there was a great crowd and great, just great. Atmosphere and all that. And I just continue to watch whether it be the student section or the fans there in Colorado. I'm like, those poor people that have to root for that guy. This program. But they're fun to watch, man. Shedeur Sanders is a terrific player.
And he gets the ball quickly out of his hands.
He's got a good arm. He's got accuracy. He's
He's the real deal.
Yeah, he can move well. I mean, he looks like an NFL star.
The Cordell Stewart Hail Mary was on September 24th, 1994, but that game was at Michigan, and he threw that ball to Michael Westbrook. It was the last second touchdown there for them, so they won 27-26 over Michigan. So let's see. Somebody said, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know a lot of Arizona State fans were really frustrated about the television broadcast crew this weekend not being in Lubbock. I wondered for the Red Raider fans that watched it on television if they were as bothered as the ASU fans, or was it more about was it favorable towards Texas Tech? And I just know ASU fans were really unhappy about it not. The broadcast crew not being in Lubbock.
Our son-in-law was over yesterday, and he was talking about it, and he said it was terrible.
Really?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
He said because who's the Oklahoma guy that's on, the analyst?
Spencer Tillman.
Spencer Tillman. He said he kept saying Podna, and then they kept saying that they were throwing tacos, not tortillas. They were something.
Well, when you're watching from your booth in wherever they were broadcasting from, seeing tortillas fly and wondering if they're tacos, that's a hard thing to figure out.
It's called preparation. Travis Hunter is a real playmaker.
That dude is
There's
special.
no question. That hit on the running back going through is absolute perfect timing, and then the ball going through the end zone. Whew. That was a huge play.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.